On October 28th, 2018, in Uniondale, New York, the first and currently only WWE pay-per-view to consist solely of women's matches took place. Something so special that I personally hold very, very close to me, and it has a very special place in my heart. Ladies, gentlemen, my non-binary friends, it is I, Josh Robinson, here for Love Wrestling, and today it's the Legacy of WWE Evolution. On the July 23rd, 2018 episode of Monday Night Raw, WWE Chief Brand Officer Stephanie McMahon announced that for the first time ever, WWE would hold an all-women's pay-per-view and WWE Network event called Evolution. It would take place on October 28th, 2018 in Uniondale, New York, replacing the previously planned Clash of Champions show. This event would feature Hall of Famers, future WWE Women's Champions, current Women's Champions, and tournament finals. We had the Mae Young Classic final included in this huge lineup of an all-female WWE pay-per-view. The card consisted of 7 matches that resulted from different kinds of storylines, of course, as we know in WWE over Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and NXT UK. Now, this event was mainly promoted on Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, and NXT. An NXT UK Women's Championship match was actually at one point scheduled for the show, but was later moved to a dark match for no apparent reason. No one really knows why. An NXT UK Women's Championship match didn't happen on the main card, it only happened on the dark match, but Rhea Ripley would defend successfully against Dakota Kai. The show opened with Trish Stratus and Lita defeating Mickie James and Alicia Fox with Alexa Bliss in a tag team match. Now, originally it was meant to be Alexa Bliss versus Trish Stratus, was the first match announced for the show. A little later on, Mickie James and Lita was announced, and then it was announced that this would be a tag match. Alexa Bliss would actually get injured at some point just before Evolution and was replaced with Alicia Fox. Nia Jax would win a huge battle royal by last eliminating Ember Moon. There was 20 women, and it was a shot at a future women's championship match of your choosing to go on there. Toni Storm would defeat Io Shirai in the 2018 Mae Young Classic Tournament final match. Sasha Banks, Bayley, Natalya would defeat the Riot Squad, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan in a 6-woman tag team match. Shayna Baszler would defeat Kairi Sane for the NXT Women's Championship. Becky Lynch would defeat Charlotte Flair in a last woman standing match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And Ronda Rousey would defeat Nikki Bella in the main event for the Raw Women's Championship. There was a certain feeling when you were watching Evolution that we really were watching something that we now know has only happened once. We don't know if there's going to be another WWE branded all-female show. Honestly, I really have no idea. But we knew we were watching something special. We knew we were watching something that truly we weren't going to see again of this magnitude or this. We weren't going to replicate this feeling. There was this feeling in that building in Uniondale, even just watching it at home, you kind of felt this sense of like, wow, this is really happening in a company where it hasn't been the greatest to its women over the time. A lot has changed, and the world has changed, society has changed a lot, but we went from 2-minute little matches that would sometimes take place on one episode of WWE television a week to a whole show dedicated to women, Hall of Famers, to legends coming back, to future talent, to stars that have come in from other industries, from just a little bit of everything. A great night for WWE, and it truly, truly does bug me a lot that that this didn't become annual, let alone just having a second event, because they did a great job in an event where they didn't get the whole shenanigans of lights and big stages and big setups. They're in a smaller arena, they had a smaller lighting crew, they had a smaller crew in general. Everything was smaller, and they made it bigger. And the women in WWE at that time truly had an opportunity to go out and say, you're not going to give us all of this stuff, we're going to show you why we deserve all of this kind of stuff and why we're earning all of this kind of stuff. If you look at the card of this match, the opening contest, the tag match, Trish and Lita versus Mickie James and Alicia Fox, a damn good opener. A really fun tag match that had no right to be as good as it was because of just the build around it. You had Alicia Fox stepping in for Alexa Bliss. These matches were meant to be singles matches. There was just so much surrounding it, and it was just a tag match, and it did damn good. Showcasing the kind of Hall of Fame talent in Trish Lita, and then of course you had Mickie James, who was a pioneer for women's wrestling, and Alicia Fox, who did a lot in the Divas era in WWE. You had a big, huge 20-woman battle royal, Nia Jax winning the whole thing. Ember Moon was the last woman eliminated. There's a lot of opinion on who should have actually won that match, but Nia Jax would go in to win. But you've seen the likes of Kelly come back, Michelle McCool, Molly Holly, Alundra Blaze, who has a much cooler name, let's be completely honest, Medusa, who's done so much for this business and will get their own Legacy of coming up very, very soon. Trust me on that. But just so many women coming back. You had the Future in the Mae Young Classic with Toni Storm and Io Shirai. You had a great 6-woman tag match. You had the NXT Women's Championship match in Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane. Shayna Baszler becoming the first ever 2-time NXT Women's Champion. You had Ronda Rousey and Nikki Bella in the main event for the show have a great match, and a lot of people were not behind Ronda and Nikki main eventing. They weren't behind Ronda versus Nikki in general. A lot of people, I think, were a little bit sour on that, and I think they did a good job to go in there and say, hey, we're the deserved main event. We've got a lot of casual people coming in with their backgrounds that they have, and they put on a damn good show. Now, the reason I talk about this match now and not the match that went on second to last is because Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair had a last woman standing match on this show that was truly remarkable. The WWE 2018 Match of the Year. For damn good reason. This match was absolutely spectacular in a time where Becky Lynch was gaining so much steam, and had a whole audience, a whole universe, if you will. She had their support. We wanted Becky. Becky was our person. Becky was the one that we want. Charlotte did a great job in this feud as well. This match in particular, though, any match with Becky and Charlotte in it, fighting each other is just incredible. And this one is their best match they've ever had. And it led to so much more. When you think about what they did in the last women's standing match at Evolution, they would go on the following year to main event WrestleMania along with Ronda Rousey in the... Hey, I know a lot of people have their opinions on the triple threat winner-take-all main event, WrestleMania 35, but it is the first. You can only be first once, and they did it. Becky Lynch would go on to end the show as women's champions of WWE. Confetti, fireworks, everything. She did that. They did that in the main event of WrestleMania 35. This match was I think a driving force in what they realized they had with Becky Lynch and her success, her momentum, her organic rise to the top of WWE. This match at Evolution truly was a show stealer. It was a year stealer. They just did an incredible job. And sitting at home watching that on an all-women's pay-per-view and them just going out and just killing it. Just absolutely killing it. Just a fantastic show, a fantastic feel, the energy from the crowd that night, just being so thankful that we're getting this and we should be getting more of these, is something I won't forget. It's my favorite pay-per-view of all time for the magnitude of what it did and just the actual quality of the show, because... Listen, I wouldn't be giving you a Legacy of if it was just a show that was, hey, it's the first and only all-women's WWE pay-per-view, but it wasn't very good. I wouldn't be giving you a Legacy of if I didn't think very, very highly of it. It truly is my favorite wrestling event that's ever happened. I just think there's been nothing more special. Now, this would lead to so many more things and so many questions, a lot more questions than answers, I can tell you that. Of why haven't we got more of this? Why isn't more female exclusive events happening within companies? We wouldn't see another all-female pay-per-view event until just recently. NWA Empower. The executive producer Mickie James, who was of course recently let go by WWE, would kind of spearhead this movement to get some of the best women in the world from all different companies to come together and put on an amazing event. Empower was very different to Evolution. Of course, it's not going to have the production value of WWE. It's not going to have all the kind of money behind it that you would want from a wrestling event in today's day and age. However, they went and showed you that women's wrestling doesn't start and end in WWE. Yes, there's some of the best female performers in the world in WWE, but there's a whole landscape outside of WWE, and Mickie James and the NWA went out and did Empower and truly showed us that women's wrestling is thriving. Women's wrestling is a draw. Women are a draw. Women are stars. Women are main event level caliber talents. They are everything that you want out of a performer, and we need to make it more clear that women and men are in fact equal. And sometimes to get equality, you have to show that women can do this without men next door to them, without men kind of holding their hand. Women can do this on their own, so then we can come together and say, hey, we're the main event, you're the main event. It doesn't matter about gender, it matters what is best. Empower showed us that. Empower was a very different kind of feeling than I had watching Evolution. Evolution was more mainstream, I guess you could say, than Empower, but Empower showed us there's life outside of WWE. Whether it does end up being the only WWE all-women's event or not, nothing will compare to Evolution for me and just the feeling I had watching that. I could sit here and talk to you all day about Evolution like I can with most of these Legacy ofs, but that's going to do it for me here on Love Wrestling. If you like this, of course, make sure you give us a thumbs up so we can tell the YouTube algorithms that we're doing a good job. It shows me that you are liking what I'm putting out. Of course, go and hit that big red subscribe button, click the bell for notifications of when Love Wrestling is dropping new videos, and leave a comment below what you thought about Evolution and Empower and any all-exclusive women events that you want to see coming up from any kind of brand. Leave it in the comments below here on YouTube. Make sure you give this some love on social media so you can tell people how much you love the Legacy of and get it out to more eyes and ears. That's going to do it for me on this week's The Legacy of. We'll be back, but not at our normal time. No, there'll be no new Legacy of next Monday because next Friday, October 8th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, a couple hours just before SmackDown, we're going to be getting the Legacy of ECW. It will premiere on YouTube at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Just do a little Google conversion for when it is in your time zone. I'll be in the chat so you can talk to me as it airs so we can all have a nice big viewing party together. It is the biggest and most polished Legacy of ever. So next Friday night, October 8th, buckle up. It's going to be a very, very good time. The Legacy of Extreme Championship Wrestling. So until next Friday of next week, I'll see you very, very soon. There'll be a schedule up for all the upcoming October content for the Legacy of. Make sure to keep following me on Twitter at JoshRobinson_00, twitch.tv/JoshRobinson00 if you want to hang out with me on stream. All the kind of good stuff. All the links will be in the description below. So until next week, I love you all very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!